good to see you.
Dude, nice to see you too. It's nice that we're doing another one of these.
I agree. And it's funny because like I was about to say I miss you, but I listen to the podcast. It's almost like I don't miss you almost because I do listen to you a lot. It's like I feel like I knew, you know, you are in my life consistently. So
Well, I appreciate that. I was looking into things, and I think we recorded like almost this time last year. Funny
really,
enough, yeah,
oh, that's cool. I didn't. I considered listening back to ours, but then I was like, you know what? Let's go in fresh.
yeah. I
Uh,
thought the same thing, and I was like, yeah, we'll pick up where we left off. If anyone
yeah,
wants to go listen to that one, obviously they should,
yeah.
if they haven't already. But yeah, I figured, yeah, start fresh, talk about everything else that's new. Um,
Is it just like last time you kind of just go into it? Kind of because
Yeah,
just
so
sometimes it just
we'll
happens.
start here in a second. Do you have anything to drink in front of you? All right, sweet. Yeah, I'll crack this beer, do a little intro, and then kind of just see where the night takes us.
Hell yeah.
Sweet. Welcome to the Beers with Bands podcast with your host Michael Torres. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Beers with Bands. I'm super stoked on tonight's episode. I got one of the homies back on the pod. I got Jake the Merrier. How's it going?
It's going great. It's great to be back.
Dude, I'm happy to have you. You got some fun stuff cooking, but we'll kind of lead our way into that. Like we were kind of talking before the episode fully started. It's been just about a year, I think, since we've actually recorded the first episode, first time you were on, to promote your last EP, Cyclical. Um, Man, I should really look into like the exact time to see if I can find when we actually recorded, because I know it's around this time because that episode came out in like June of 2022. Which if people are checking this one out and you haven't listened to it, go check out that one. We kind of covered, the origin stories of
Yeah.
the Merrier and leading up to Cyclical. But I mean, it's been we're about a year out since that time. I mean, a year, a lot happens in a year. Um,
Yeah.
like, dude, like this is also us just catching up and having a good chat. So like, what's new? What's going on?
Like a lot is new from last year. There's like it feels like my whole life is totally completely different now. But mostly working and editing podcasts, listening to podcasts and just messing around with this Merrier stuff.
Hell yeah, because like I don't know if this is diving too personal. I think you like switched up your job from the last time we talked. Like you're just now doing more like sound production for shows and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I was the production manager for a place and a lot was going on during that with other things. So I stepped down and someone I actually in the scene is actually the new production manager of that venue. I don't want to say the names just because I don't know how he feels about like
Right.
everyone knowing where he works, but yeah, someone in the scene that I met like through DIY and all this is actually working there now as the production manager, and now I'm just the sound tech,
Oh, okay, cool.
and it's a lot better. We both kind of like we basically just switched jobs, and it fits. It works a lot better, I think, for both of us.
Hell yeah, dude! I love seeing your tweets pop up every once in a while, like your rants about just doing like sound stuff. Just like because I didn't read the full post of what like the email they sent you for like the one the other day of like how the sound sounded really shitty in their opinion for like a cover band, and I was like, oh my god, I'm sure that's fucking
So
great.
it was an ABBA tribute, and it was going really well. Like they're really good. Like the tribute bands are weird, but whatever pays the bills. So
Right.
I thought it was going great, and I only had it doesn't happen too often, but someone hands me a note and it says, "Can't hear the vocals," and that stuff doesn't like bother me too much. It's pretty subjective, but so I just brushed it off and kept going as the night. But then today, the production manager actually sent me the email. We were both laughing about it because it's like I don't know. There's so many factors, and I don't know, whatever. Like if that's what
Right.
you think, so be it. But yeah, it's funny because I see most bands on Twitter. I've seen like a lot of horror stories about the sound techs, and I think it's funny. I think my perspective of it, of like how bands can be really stupid and like, or crowd, I don't know, but generally it's really fun. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's an amazing, I was just talking to my dad about it. I was on the phone with my dad for like 2 hours, 3 hours a day. And I was telling him for a while, like, I love doing it. It's fun. Like, it's an amazing way to make money. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, that's awesome that you're able to still keep that going, and like you found a position that you feel more comfortable, and like it, like you're not, because I remember the last time we talked, like you were kind of stressed out
Yeah.
with what was going on. So it's nice to see that that's not the case anymore.
Yeah. And like some other things have happened, like family stuff. And I feel like once you like go through some things, you stop like, at least for me, like I've like stopped worrying so much,
Hmm.
and like the job's good, like everything with the family's good. So like a lot of like things have passed and changed, and it's been a good. I've been having a good like 6 months, really.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, happy for you. Happy with what's coming out. Well, at the time of this recording, it's not out yet. We're about like a month away.
Mhm.
The time this episode comes out, because we're gonna hit this at the get you the first slot of May. This one's coming out right away, the week after. So we're gonna talk about your new EP here in a little bit, but I kind of want to start back in, I think it was November of 2022. So we're a little bit removed. You dropped like basically the first single for this track, for this new EP,
Yeah.
um, called "Wow Relieve," and it features Super Destroyer and Exciting Excellent, um, which, I mean, I feel like with this EP and especially that song in general, like we see kind of like a step away from like what Cyclical was. Because I was listening back to that one today too. After like I listened to the new EP and then listened to that, and obviously like this is all up to my interpretation with how this goes. But like I felt like Cyclical uh was more vibey and like chill, and then you get into this new EP and especially the first single, and it's more synthy, upbeat, a little bit more, and like more dream pop. Um, is that kind of what you're going for?
Yeah, I would say
Am I on the
you
right track?
yeah, you got it pretty good. I was definitely going for more upbeat, uh more like hyper poppy with like emo. But it's probably like still, I bet a lot of people would still probably just consider it indie because it's like genres are so weird.
Right.
But I was really going for like hyper emo dreamo stuff.
And then like what was the, I mean, I don't know where if I want to say this question yet. I guess we'll start with, obviously that track came out in November. I know the homie Super Destroyer is on it. Like we mentioned, Exciting Excellent is also on it. Like what was the response behind this one? Because there's I mean, like we talked about the last time we were on, the DIY Twitter community is like basically all homies at this point.
Yeah.
Like how did it roll out for you?
Uh, well, so it was really. Oh, I got a burp. Jeez. It was it was really spontaneous because they Lonely Ghost does that Halloween split, and I had wanted to be on it. And then like most things, I was like, yeah, I want to do it, and then I like got busy, and so I was trying to come up with like a song for it that was gonna be separate from the EP, and then as I wrote it, I was like, oh, this is a lot better than like a couple of the other songs I've been working on for the EP.
Mm.
So I kind of asked John, I was like, can we put this on the split, but like, can I also just put it out like separately?
Right.
Uh, so he said, yeah. And then it just kind of like defaulted into, well, let's just like roll it onto the EP too, because it fits like perfectly with the rest, in my opinion. So
Oh yeah, like I felt like it obviously now knowing that it was not originally supposed to go on the EP, um, like it's crazy that yeah it fits so well with these other four songs that are on here. Um, so was that so originally there was only supposed to be four songs on this EP compared to the final five?
originally it was going to be, I was planning for seven, and it was going to be this concept thing about walking around a Animal Crossing village at night, and then what you might hear if you heard some emo songs in that world. But then a couple of the songs like really didn't work out the way I'd hoped.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's weird when you have like guests on every song. So like, and I wasn't gonna ask anyone to like fit that mold of like, hey, write about this, because that's a
Right.
little out there. So it just didn't that just didn't pan out. I kind of scrapped it and figured let's just make it shorter. And then the songs I didn't like as much, I'm kind of reworking now for the
Okay.
next one.
Um, and I guess I forgot to mention right when we first started, for people that might not have listened to the first episode, which I also said go do that as well. Um, your name's Jake. You go by the Merrier. You basically do different collaborations on every song, and you're kind of like this emo dream pop synth um, style that you kind of go for. That's my quick 10-second
Yeah,
roundup to get everyone up to speed as to what we're talking about. Um,
that's
but
a
no, yeah.
great way to describe it. So
I mean, literally, it's just what I pull from your social medias. So you put it out there best.
I did good.
um, no, but yeah, like I felt like that song worked out really well to be part of this. It'll be interesting to see what those other songs come out to be, but we'll kind of talk about that a little bit later. Because obviously the EP that we're talking about is called If We Fall Asleep Too Early." Nice little 5-song EP at the time of this recording. Like I said, it's not out yet. It'll be out. Comes out a week before this episode fully drops. Um, but I mean, it's in classic fashion. You have a perfect mix of perfect selections for who is featured on this EP because like we talked about, it flows so well. It feels very cohesive. Where I could have just been like the timing for Cyclical, where like it kind of Cyclical had like its peaks and valleys with different things. Where like it didn't seem like one cohesive sound. Where this really seems like it could be played as like a full soundtrack for like you're talking about like if you were to hear these in like an Animal Crossing village, like it just plays nonstop in the background. You wouldn't even notice.
So I think having like when I started the CP, I was starting fresh. Or cyclical, it was like a bunch of ideas throughout the years that I'd put together, like kind of cobbled together to kind of just to introduce myself to the scene and what I was trying to do.
Right.
So I came into this one with knowing how to do it, having gear, like just a better idea of like how to start the next one.
Yeah. Well,
So
I mean, you
that's
got it
good.
on lock. Like this this
Thanks.
this EP is super fun to listen to. I mean, and for people wondering, like obviously we have Exciting Excellent is on there. We have Spun Lilac, Super Destroyer, Equipment, Analog Heart, and Hey I Love You. Which I mean, solid choices all. Like I said, I don't know how you decide to fold like because I know you come up with the tracks yourself, and then you have to like basically decide who's going to be featured on each one. But the way you come about like deciding that and picking it like it works so well. Like the like I can't imagine these being redone in different with different people.
Oh, that's interesting to say because like sometimes the one of the songs I do have another vocal take for, because a lot of the times like you ask someone to do it and it takes a while, and I kind of worry. So and I have some friends that I can like go to and be like, hey, you might want to be on this. Like, do you think you might want to be on this? Because like I'm not too sure if they're gonna do it or not. So there is one song where I've got uh another vocal take on it, and it's really weird switching between the two, and like it totally changes the song based on who's singing. Uh, well, I'll probably never release the other version,
Yeah,
and I'm not gonna say
never
which song because I don't want to
ne-
like.
never gonna do like a B sides of like a different takes because I think that'd be kind of cool too.
I've considered that, but uh, and I've considered doing an EP like a three, maybe probably like three songs of it being the same song with just different
Ooh,
people, but it gets really weird with like the whole contract because I
true.
write out contracts, I pay them, and then we do like streaming splits or we work something out like where I pay them and there's a percentage of the streaming music,
Right.
right, or money that you get, uh quotations because there's no money in it. But if there were to be money in it, like if it were to blow up, now we have an agreement and they're gonna get some money. So yeah, it's weird, it's but I
Right.
thought
Yeah.
about it, and it's something I would like to do, but I don't know like how. I don't know if I want to stress myself out like that. Like,
Yeah. No. When you get like, because I remember that from the last time you because I think you're the only person I've ever talked to that like has at least expressed doing that. I think you're like one of maybe two people that I've talked to that actually do the style that you're doing, where you kind of like have everyone featured on it rather than like full band stuff.
yeah,
Um, so it's totally understandable like not to want to jump through all those legal hoops and like
yeah.
have to deal with all that, but that is a solid idea um where you know it's still in your back pocket. You could always possibly do something if you wanted to, because that would be kind of sick to do one of these songs, see it in so many different facets of just like depending on who's on there.
And I guess like if I were to do it in a format where I'm not gonna make money, and therefore they're not gonna make money, it kind of makes it easier.
Hmm.
Like if I were to like do it as like a charity and put it up on Bandcamp,
Right.
then I don't feel quite as bad about like the whole contract situation and who like if you take the money out of it or the possibility of money, I think that changes and makes things easier. So maybe that's something I could do, like a
Yeah.
Bandcamp charity thing.
Yeah.
That might be
It's
something. We're like coming up with ideas right now.
right. It's
It's
basically just
great.
not off the table fully. It's still like it's like
It's
the
there.
placemat's still there. The plate just needs to come to the table. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
um, Speaking of kind of full band stuff, I remember last year when we talked, you were supposed to be doing, was it DIY prom or no? It wasn't DIY prom. I can't remember which.
Coachella.
Focella, that's right. And unfortunately, I think you got COVID, so you weren't able to do it.
Yeah, I haven't really gotten to talk about this, and it's interesting because it's a really, I think it's an interesting story on why I got COVID and missed that. Uh, so like I put together a band, and we're still a band. We're working on some stuff with Masakio and Pons.
I'd love to hear that, by the way, that you're still like the dream didn't die.
The,
It's still working.
the dream didn't die, but we haven't played a show yet. But I ended up getting COVID at the NEVA conference, which is, and no shade towards the NEVA conference. This isn't like a mad at them. It's just this is the way it goes. Like I've got
Right.
COVID after too, so like it happens. But NEVA is the group that like saved the stages.
Mm.
They like did the whole lobbyist thing and got Congress to give money to the venues. So it was really funny that like I was working this conference that was brought together because of COVID, and in return I got COVID and missed the one show I was gonna play. But no
Jeez.
shade towards them, because thank you,
Right.
Neva. I love you, because I still have a job, and it was a lot of hard work, and it was cool, and it was an honor to do it. It was really cool. So no
Yeah.
shade, but it is interesting.
Yeah. It's yeah. I see the humor in getting COVID at this. But obviously, like, no shade to them, because in the time you could literally be doing anything and get it. So it's
Yeah,
all
like
like
it's not
with its own risk. But it's just funnier that it was at a conference put on by people that work to get money during the height of
COVID.
it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, that's just that it feels that's being a sound tech. Yeah, I generally miss shows and can't do a lot of shows anyway. So it's story of a sound tech's life,
right.
but a life I chose and I'm happy with. So whatever.
Uh, well, speaking of like, have you guys been practicing at all lately, or is it just like when you guys have time?
Uh, Mostly when we have time. A lot of so like we came together as the Merrier. That's what it was
Mm,
going to be. The Merrier with Pons, Masakio, and Zeke. But it's kind of become something different now. But the idea of the Merrier is still intact. So the idea was like we can have different drummers, different guitar players. Even I can be replaced. We can bring in a different bass player if I can't be there.
okay.
And the Merrier can keep, like if Pons can't be there, we just do Masakio songs. If Zeke can't be there, we just do Pons, and like it's a mismatch, and no one has to
Right.
commit too much, as long as like we can't play our songs if we don't practice them. That's the most commitment it takes. So it's called a shadow band now.
Okay.
Um, like no what are those vowels? Is that what they are? Like A, O.
Oh yeah, vowels.
So there's no vowels in it. It's just shadow band, but none of the A's or E's, I's. There's no I in that. But so yeah, we've been practicing on and off. We're trying to like get together a couple times a month to do these sessions,
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna use the sessions to kind of get gigs and find more members because we're pretty light on members right now. Like we
What would
right
be like the ideal number of members? You trying to do like a full like Slipknot, or you got at least like 12 dudes up there? Or what's the plan?
we're trying to keep it light on stage, like a guitar player, maybe two, keyboards, bass, drums, and then leave the rest to guests.
Oh, okay.
But we'd like to have like a couple, like three drummers would be great. Maybe like three guitar players,
Just to
and
like
then
have in the wheelhouse for
yeah, and like
when they need to be available.
you can't show up, so this guy shows up, and that's the general idea. But that's been hard to get together because we haven't been playing much, uh, and all of us, literally all of us, have had like a lot going on in the year. So it's hard when it's like this non-committal thing. And,
Right.
but it's been fun and it's been really chill. Like we just get together and we just play and we don't really like we haven't like been stressing that like, oh, we haven't played a gig. Like we'll play gigs when they come and it'll come. But it's just
Yeah.
been fun. It's just really nice getting together with people and just playing music. And we don't have to worry about selling tickets. And we're not talking about the release. It's just like, when are we getting together next? Like that's really
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. You're just having fun jamming with your friends at the end of the
Yeah.
day. Like that's what everyone wants to do.
And we're playing songs like no one in the band wrote these songs and no one's bringing new songs to the table besides the like Masakio and Pons. So it's really cool just kind of taking these songs that are there and adapting them. It's like there's like not a whole lot of ego. There's no one like, oh, they're not using my idea because we're not
Right.
using anyone's idea. Like we're just playing these guys' songs, and there's not a whole lot of rules. We just say, hey, just kind of adapt yourself. And so it's interesting that like this Merrier thing kind of became this new thing that we're doing and working on.
Yeah.
We haven't really talked about it much because there's nothing to talk about yet, but
Right.
you're the first to kind of really get the scoop on this. But it's been
Uh,
cool.
no, that's fucking awesome. That one, like I said, you didn't let COVID deter you from like doing this like live performance. You guys are still, going at it and like
Yeah.
making something and just having a fun, good time. And it'll be, I'm stoked for when that first like official show comes through and you guys get to like take the stage and present it. Would you just do it for like any show, or would it have to be like a festival, like how kind of like Coachella was, or like
So
is there like a certain?
we're getting kind of greedy and we're trying to not do like ticketed shows. We're kind of skipping a few steps. That's the
Okay.
idea, at least. That's why we want to do like a video session, make it really professional, and try to kind of skip a few steps.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if that happens. I don't know. A lot of scenes, especially Cleveland, you kind of have to like prove yourself before they just throw you on gigs, and that's very understandable. So we'll see where things go. We're open though. We're trying not to worry about it. As long as we don't have to sell tickets, we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah. No one should be doing that. Well,
Yeah.
and like I've booked shows before where like I had people sell tickets, but it wasn't. It was. I want this out there because I've had bands sell tickets, but it's never been like, oh, you didn't sell enough tickets, like you don't get to play or you have to pay me. It's always been like, hey, like here's like 15, 20 tickets. Obviously, you guys can keep an extra $2 for each ticket or whatever. Whatever you don't sell, I don't give a shit about. I'll still make sure you get paid by the end of the night. It's more just like because in Iowa, like your local band is also possibly living like an hour and a half away. So
Wow.
they could possibly be bringing people. So it's like more just getting them tickets to get them easier for their friends.
Yeah.
And like once everyone shows up at the show, get everything divvied up. But like I never made people, and I would never make people like, oh, you have to cough up the rest of this money.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're not fucking playing.
Well, and that's understandable. There's been a couple times where we've been like offered gigs, and we generally just said no because it hasn't worked out. But like we've talked, like if they're just asking us to sell like 10 tickets, oh, we can do that. Like,
right.
It's not, as long as we're not like I guess it's within reason.
Yeah, like I would basically just be like, I would get the tickets whether they're like we printed our own tickets or like the venue was like working with like ticket fly or whatever. So like we had the nice printed tickets. I would be like, yo, here's how many tickets do you guys want to start with? Like I'm gonna try and hawk most of these anyways, but like how much do you want to start with? And they'd be like, they'd give me a number, be like, cool. If you guys need any more, let me know.
Yeah.
If not, like don't fucking worry about it. I know people are still gonna show up to the door anyways, and like we'll be fine. Like I'm not worried about like trying to pay people or like
Yeah,
not
you
being
see,
able
you
to pay people.
sound more chill about it than more of the places around here.
Yeah,
Uh,
and like thankfully too, like the venue that we would do shows at like wasn't one of those venues, and I from my knowledge they still are not one of those venues that would do like merch cuts either. So like
yeah.
because that's some whole more bullshit type stuff.
I work for a venue and they don't take any merch cuts, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
It saves us a lot. The one thing they'll do is if you want us to sell the merch for you, you have to pay for the person to do that, and it's
Mm,
$100. Uh, but they don't take any cuts, and the $100 goes towards the person that is selling the merch for you.
right.
So it's not like this. The venue's just not willing to pay it.
Yeah, which makes sense. Like you're having someone come in to help merch for a band that might not have a merch person, or
Yeah.
if I know some bands that will like let their merch person like take like a day off sometimes on tour, so they can another person can fill in, and that makes total sense. Rather than just like the venue just being like, no, like we're gonna charge you, but we're also just like not gonna pay our
Not going to help
employee.
you, and
Yeah,
yeah, no table. Yeah, I feel like every week you see a band like even like in Europe where like they just don't sell merch because the venue's
yeah,
taking 30% or something ridiculous.
yeah.
And any percentage is generally pretty weird.
Right. There was a band. I think I was just scrolling Twitter, which Twitter's been weird because like now they do like the whole like following and then like just
I
in
always
general.
forget. I'll go
Yeah,
days with going with the for you and I'll miss all kinds of tweets that I would have
yeah.
liked to have seen.
And I'll be like, when did I start following this person? And I click on it, it's like I'm not even following this fucking person. But some band popped up and they had, I think they were playing like in Germany or something, and the venue was selling basically like a bootleg of their own of like the band's merch because copyright laws don't exist the way that they do in the US in
Oh,
Europe. So like the band has their own merch and they had to do a merch cut, and then the venue had like their own shirt with like the band's logo already on
wow.
it and shit like that.
That's
Yeah.
shady. What?
Yeah.
What? That's messed up. I hadn't seen that before. That's like a
Yeah.
whole new level of
Dude, right?
not cool. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Luckily, all the venues I work for around Cleveland. I mean, I'm sure some of them probably might have, but I don't think any of the ones I work for mainly do that. So
Mm.
it's pretty cool generally.
Yeah, and like here in the Twin Cities, I haven't heard of any of the venues doing that, so props to Twin Cities and you're in Cincinnati, right? Or are you in Columbus?
I'm in Cleveland, the other
Cleveland, my
C
bad. The
Cleveland. Yeah,
other
the other
C,
C
yeah.
city in Ohio. Yeah.
Well, that props to those for like not at least doing that we're aware of. Um, I feel like it's more like the bigger cities like LA or New York that you see most of that, or at least I hear most of that happening.
And like pro tips to the bands, a lot of the way at times, if they're not charging you for the merch cuts, they're probably getting you somewhere else.
Yeah,
Would be my guess, just because venues can be like that. I don't know that for certain, but like I would guess that they're probably just cutting the corners somewhere else,
yeah,
and that's not
yeah,
cool. But
yeah. I could imagine. That was the nice thing too. Like I can't talk enough nice things about the venue from back home because like it's my favorite venue in the whole world. But like when I would book a show there, I would get um, basically a slip at the end of the night saying like how many tickets were sold online. Like they would tell me like the online numbers, the door numbers, and like they would have their breakdown, and then they would take out like their um, like I think for the venue, I think it was just like 125 for when I would book a show there. So like they would just show that they took that out, and then they would hand me the rest with the slip and the whole breakdown.
those are the main venue I work for does a breakdown for bands. The bands can see exactly where they spent the money,
Mm-hmm.
and there's even like another column of like the general like what they usually do, and then like what they agreed upon.
Oh, nice.
That's like so like here you can reference like how we usually do it, but now you can also see what we agreed to do. and now here's how it all breaks down. And that's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Props.
it's interesting that the venue that does that is the most honest also pays me the most. So it's almost like when you're good and you're cool, things work out better for you. I don't know.
Yeah. Um, but kind of jumping back into this EP, we mentioned nice little 5-song. Because you sent me this back, and I forgot to check the date. You sent me this, I think, back in like January to check out.
Really? Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Hold on. I don't want to like. I don't know what the word is, but yeah. So
You don't want to lie to us.
yeah. January, you sent me this, and I think it wasn't fully completed because in the note it says like looking for vocals. So I don't know if it might have been like I don't know
So,
what version I listened to then.
so the looking for vocals is actually just it's in my bio on the SoundCloud.
Oh,
So it says that for everyone. And I've
okay.
actually gotten a ton of comments. They're like, "Are you still looking for vocals on this song? It sounds like you have vocals." And it's like, oh yeah, that's just like that was the general tagline I had for like a while because I was always like sending these demos out. So I
Okay.
just put it in the bio, like looking for vocals, so like hoping people would be like, I'll do it, and that worked. But no, I should probably take that out so it doesn't confuse people too much.
Well, it like so like with the link that you sent me today, because I went to go hit up the other link and it was like, oh,
Yeah, I probably
this
took it
file's not.
away.
Yeah. So um with what you sent me today, like it actually says like the album title in like the little note, like when it
Oh,
shows
I didn't
up.
even notice that. Okay.
Um, but yeah, you had sent it to me back in January. And I dug it then, and then seeing it, I don't know what stage you were at back then, but like seeing this completed form as we get closer to release date was kind of nice. A little refresher getting back into it. And I remember I had noted to you when I first listened to it, this artwork for it is like so cool because like you see the letters all like kind of spaced out, but as you like zoom in more on each letter, like there's just all these little intricate details throughout that just like were kind of cool to include because like I think it's been a while since I've zoomed in on it. Obviously, it was back in January, but I feel like you have some of the artist names hidden within there.
Yeah.
I feel like you had like "Hey, I love you" somewhere in there, and then like, but it was cool just to see like all the little stuff placed in.
The artist that did that, Kayla Hay, is like that's probably like her specialty is like adding like having a big thing and then having a bunch of little details, little cool things to zoom in and look at. Uh and that's my favorite kind of stuff too. Stuff that has like Easter eggs and
Yeah.
like nerdy stuff like that. And there's like a couple other people like there's a JP on it, and that's for Jake. I hope I pronounce it Pasha from Equipment.
Mm.
Like he helped produce the vocals and engineer the vocals for the Equipment track. So like wanted to get like his initials on there, like represent him a little bit. Like Randall played the keys on that same song too. So anybody that was like contributed a little bit, I was like, just throw their name on there. Like that'll be that'll be cool.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. It was
Yeah.
like, um, was it the original idea to have like the letters kind of all spaced out with like the word bubble for like the album title, or like did you just say, hey, like just work your magic, add these details, and just see where it goes?
So I wonder what I told her. I don't even remember at this point, but I know I told her like I wanted to be space themed. Like I was very much like into like space and like looking up. Like I can see my window right now, so I would like look out and like looking at the stars and stuff. So I knew I wanted to be spacey, and I gave her some colors, like those pinks and purples,
Mm.
and she basically took it from there. I don't really think I told her anything else beyond that. Uh, like the space station thing definitely wasn't my idea. Uh, that turned out sick, and I don't even think she had she even started the like the Easter egg stuff. Like she's the one that put all the names on it.
Oh, really?
And I think I had told her like, hey, can we incorporate their names somehow in this?
Mm.
Because I don't want it to just say the Merrier. And obviously
Right.
that's
Yeah, because like yeah, the Mary is your moniker, but really it's I don't know how to word this. It's your moniker, but at the same time, it's like a collective thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I had asked her to somehow incorporate the names, and that was just how this is just what she came up with.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a sick cover. It's really
yeah,
cool. Like
she knocked it out of the park for sure.
I agree. Like I love it.
It's always great when you find those people that you can just be like, you can kind of give them like a quick bullet point of like, hey, like I want this somehow included, or like this is what my idea is, and then they just take it and exceed what you're already looking for.
Yeah, totally. I mean, like, because like I have a hard time visualizing things like that. Like, I don't know what I want.
Right.
Um, all I knew was like I just wanted to be space themed and like have the names of the guests on it, and that's like nothing. Uh, it's a pretty sick, and like she made it very like run down and like kind of like an abandoned.
Mm.
Um, like I guess the direction. I guess I did tell her like what it was about, and it's about like being burnt out like from all this digital shit and like kind of constantly trying to be what's the word efficient
Mm.
through the digital spaces. But like I didn't like tell her like, oh, but make it about that. Like I just kind of told her what it was about, and
Right.
that's what she came up with. So it was very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, those moments are always great. Because I know even right now, I mean, at the time this comes out, they should be fully done. I plan on fully announcing them, but I've been having someone rework new logo designs for me,
Oh, cool.
um, and I was kind of just like, hey, like this is what my thought is. Can you like I even tried to like draw something, and I can have the ideas in my head, but like drawing them is a whole nother thing. Uh, and she just took them perfectly as to what I wanted. Like I just sent them to you as well. Um, and and she just knocked them out of the park. So I'm so stoked to finally put these ones out into the world.
Whoa, that's cool. That's
Right?
sweet. That's awesome. Those are like my favorite colors. Like I'm not gonna say anything because I don't want to like give anything away, but that's really cool.
Yeah, they came out so fucking sick, and they should be fully done to the point where I can have them in this episode, and like they'll be on all the platforms. Um, but yeah, I'm this is the first set of new logo. Like I had the 40-ounce logo. She did the same one for that. That's why I incorporated that as well. But like for like the actual like podcast logos that I have, this will be the first time I've updated anything in like 4 years, basically since the start of the podcast. So it's nice to
Wow.
kind of get like a whole little new little refresher.
You got to get this on a shirt, and I'm definitely gonna buy that shirt. Even a hat, I can feel like it could be on a hat, like
Right?
sticker. There's a lot of. This is really cool.
Yeah, I'm
I
so
love it.
fucking stoked.
I've when the shirt version comes out, I'm buying that.
All right, I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, I'll be watching. I'll see.
You'll know. You'll hear all about it.
Oh yeah.
Um, but I mean, with this EP though, like we kind of mentioned, it's kind of like a different step away from cyclical because you've kind of found your groove and what you're wanting to do. Um, if anyone's listening that might not have listened to uh, this new EP, if we fall asleep too early, and they're fans of cyclical, like what can they expect with this transition into this EP?
Oh, that is a great question because I have a great answer. So the transition is it goes cyclical ends with scenery,
Mm-hmm.
and I specifically ended it with that because I felt like that was the most emo. Um, Whenever I reference this genre, I'm using it pretty loosely because like I don't know if
I
that
mean,
sounds
that one lyrically it is pretty emo.
yeah
Like I was listening to it on the drive home, and I was like, right at the heartstrings for like
yeah like
that whole like chorus line. I was like, fuck.
John killed it with that song. Like, and that song is awesome, especially the end. Like his ending vocals. I hope that is so fucking
Yeah.
cool. I loved it. So it ends on scenery, and I knew it was gonna end with that because it's emo, and I knew that's where I was going with the next one. So it's like, okay, this is like we're ending it where it's gonna begin next time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
because
then,
this. Sorry, keep going.
so that this EP, the next one starts with scenery too.
Oh, the follow up to this EP.
The follow up to cyclical if we fall the first song, if we fall asleep too early, the first song is called Scenery 2,
Okay.
and that's what Jazz named it. So that's your transition right there. It goes from Scenery 1 to Scenery 2. That's the transition.
Oh yeah, duh. It's yeah, Scenery Two's on this EP. Sorry, I was
Yes.
getting confused and I thought you were like already talking about like the
The
next.
next EP,
Yeah.
EP3.
Uh, but like I mean this EP, if we fall asleep too early, um, you like when we talked last year, you were already in like pre production with this. Like you were getting your people figured out, getting the contracts worked out, um, and like obviously we talked about that the single that came out in November, but like did you feel like this one went by quicker or easier than Cyclical to like get put together?
Definitely way easier because like Cyclical, I had like pulled files and ideas from like different computers and different DAWs. Like they were done in Cyclical was like 3 different DAWs, which is like a nightmare dealing with. So this one was definitely way easier, and like a couple of the songs I just like threw the vocals into the track I had, and that was like almost it. There's I didn't have to do a whole, like, especially when I don't have to do a whole lot to the vocals already. They just
Right.
give it to me printed for the most part. So yeah, I would say this one was a lot easier. I didn't really stress about it, or I was just having fun with it.
Hell yeah, dude. Um, like I mean, obviously, you listen to these episodes, you know how I get like this EP is super sick, and I can't hype it enough. Um, it was for me, it was kind of hard, a little difficult to come up with like my top song, um, because I mean, Scenery Two starts it, and I feel like that one's super sick, and then you get into Wow, Relive, and I feel like that also they like those two come off so strong for this EP. Like it's hard to find like where you want to be in this one. Um, have you thought about like one that you're like? Obviously, I've done like the Warp Tour question, but like what's your favorite go to off this EP?
Um, Probably Wow Relief because that's the one I think about the mix the least.
Mm,
That song, like it's only like a couple tracks. I didn't do like a ton of layering or like much. It just that one just kind of worked. Like I just recorded it and I mixed it pretty quick, and I was really happy with it.
yeah,
Where a lot of these other songs, like I'm definitely happy with them and I love them and I had fun with them, but like I went back and forth so much between like how I should do this and that and that and this, and like I re-recorded the bass and guitars on Scenery 2 like a billion million times. Um, so like I guess like that's the one I think the least about,
mm-hmm.
and like it's easy, the easiest, the one I'm like easiest to just kind of like get in the zone and listen to it. Where the other ones, like I'll probably always like be thinking about like, oh, I should have like made that kick, and like yeah.
With all those changes, was there one out of these songs that changed the most from like your initial conception to the final form?
Probably not too much. Not where it was like it started with this and it became a totally new. It was just like a lot of nitpicking and like just like I don't like how like I I don't like how I'm like hit these notes and I'm just gonna play it
Mm,
again. And I don't know. It's really hard to say like because I record myself and I mix it like so I do all of it. So it's really hard to not be like super hypercritical,
right.
but also like just enjoy it and just like I try not to like get super like there's wrong notes in this EP. Like if you listen to it close enough, you'll hear me just like mess up. And I try to just do that because like I'm not like if you I don't know if you want to hear something perfect, there's so much stuff that's perfectly synced and hit and like there's I don't know. This isn't like I guess that's just not me. I'm not trying to be a computer,
Yeah.
even
No,
though I
that
will
makes
be one
sense.
day. We'll all be computers one day.
Yeah.
So
Um, and I don't think I asked you this the last time you were on, but when so obviously like you build the instrumentals, and then you kind of send those off and have them like have the whoever's going to be singing on it kind of like listen along. Obviously, when they go to record, but when you get their vocals back, do you ever like go to put it together and then realize like, oh, I should actually try and like connect with their vocals and like restructure a certain section.
Totally. There's definitely parts where it's like, I'll have like a guitar riff or like a hook or something, and I'll just take it out. Like there's which one was it? Like "Hey, I Love You," the Pokey MMO song. That started with a bass riff that isn't even in the song now,
Hmm.
because it was just too much. Like that riff where I had it was just too much. Um, so yeah, there's definitely points where you like hear like what they're doing and just think, okay, what they did is way better. There's my cat walking around. You can see his white belly. Um, but yeah, generally like I show that to them like so early on. And then I wait a long time for them to
Hmm.
send me stuff. So I try not to like do too much on it. I try not to
Right.
get too married to any idea,
Yeah,
because like
because you don't want to like send it off to them and then keep like tweaking it to the point where like even if they were to send you back what they completed like a week or two down the line, you could have like adjusted something already to like completely change it. So you really do want to just wait till they can send it back to see what could be or like get a better idea as to like what it's actually looking at.
and so Nick from equipment, actually, he'd like specifically asked me like, is this song gonna like change much from like where it is right now? And I kind of had to be like, no, I generally try not to like change the mix too much. And it oddly enough, that's is the song that probably changed much from when I sent it to him, and then he gave me vocals. So I mean, a lot of times we're talking like 5 months, 6 months
Mm.
before they get me anything, and that's totally fine because I'm not like in a rush,
Yeah,
and I'll
you're
just
not
work
like
on
on a
other
set
stuff.
schedule. Yeah.
Like there's no point in stressing about it. Um, so yeah, it's a mixed bag. Every song's different. Like I don't know. Like I felt like I had like a system, and then the CP, that whole system kind of just went out the door. Like they all came together in different ways, and I don't know. It's just a fun process.
Yeah. And then obviously, like a fun question. Like, I might have asked you this last time too. Maybe I should have listened to that episode to make sure I didn't repeat any questions. But fuck it. You always find these amazing people to like guest on all of the songs. Who would be someone, whether it's in the DIY scene or anyone else in the giant music industry, that you would be like, that's like your holy grail of having someone feature on the Merrier track.
Okay, so the first one I'm not gonna say because I got them. I got like I talk about them. I tweet about them all the time. I post them all the time. So it's not hard to like figure out who it is if you follow me. But the song is like I can't I don't know what it is. I can't figure it out. It's one of the songs I was talking about that got scrapped.
Oh
It's
yeah,
one of
yeah.
my holy grail bands. Like he's like I love this band. I probably talked about them on the last one. Um, and I probably you probably asked me this, and I probably said this band, and then I pretty sure I got that band. And like I've been working on that song for like over a year now, and I just can't get it right. But other than that band, that's not gonna remain unnamed because I might never release a song. Uh, Probably Robert Smith or Damon Albarn. Robert Smith of The Cure or Damon Albarn from Gorillaz.
Okay.
Um, Probably one of those two, but I feel like that would be like a don't meet your heroes situation. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure they're great guys. In my opinion, they are, but like I don't know them, so I don't know. I feel like
Right.
I don't. I guess I don't like have a super interesting answer for that because like I started this with the idea of like doing it within the emo scene. Uh, so I guess I never like thought about it too much outside of the space.
Mm.
Um, I was really, really pumped up when I got "Hey, I Love You" on a song though, and like we're on the same label, so like, and I know Caleb, like we talk here and like sometimes. So it wasn't like a huge surprise, but like "Hey, I Love You" was kind of like what got me into the whole Lonely Ghost thing. I found them in like the day something really tragic happened in my life. I found "Hey, I Love You," and like I was like, blown away by them, but also like incredibly anxious and like go like how things go. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm living the dream right now already. So I don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean like solid answers all around. It would be. I totally get that. Like whole don't meet your idols. I've never. Yeah, I don't. There's no one on my idol or holy grail list that like I think would actually ever do this. So I'm not too worried about like running into that. But that yeah, that's always like worst case scenario where like you've idolized someone for so long and then they just turn out to be like a major asshole for no fucking reason.
And
Um,
I just feel like I don't know. It's like I'm like in a lot of ways I'm like emulating what they do, and like as so it's like what's the point almost, like I guess next year when we do this again I'll think about that and I'll come up with
okay,
someone really really interesting.
all right, deal. So that means if we're gonna do this again next year and you're on course, does that mean you already have EP3 in like pre production or something?
I've got 2 songs done for it, so
Fuck yeah,
um
dude.
they might not actually come out on that EP though. We're uh I don't know why we're I'm talking
I
with
mean,
another band.
yeah, and also like things change. Like
Yeah.
there was already 2 songs that were supposed to be on this EP that didn't make it because they're still being workshopped. We could possibly see them at some point when when you have an idea as to what you're doing. But like that's fair to say, like they're on there right now,
Yeah,
but we'll
I've got
see when
2
it comes time.
ready to go. I am like possibly might release one of them as like a single for like a charity thing. Um but like we haven't like figured all that out. I'm trying to get together a split um
Okay.
with another band in Cleveland and they've agreed. And we're kind of working out the details. But that's not like official, so I don't know. We'll see.
No, that'd be sick. I'm always stoked for anything that the homies do, especially like, I mean, we'll sit down again, we'll talk about it, we'll have a good time. Um, but I mean, like I said, every time you put out a track and you have someone on it, like it works so well. Like I even with what I was listening today, even like Cyclical still hits so well. Um, like I was listening back and I hadn't sat down and like listened to it all in its entirety in a while, and like Vominos and Scenery are still probably like 2 of my favorite tracks off of that,
Yeah.
because they just like who's featured and like what they do and like it just flows so well.
That Vomina song is still like if I could go back, that's a song kind of going back to like what we were talking about earlier, like redoing stuff and like recycling. That's a song I'd like really like to go back and mix again.
Mm,
Because I love that song, but like there's so much about it that like I just want to like try again. And like that's like the nightmare of all this. Like when you do it all yourself, it's like I have all the files. I can just go back and do it again. Like, but like there's like something like about like sticking to like what you did and just being proud of it and like the
yeah.
time period that I made it. And I am proud of it. Um, but that's just like that's the nightmare of it all. And that's what makes it fun. It's like, but yeah, thank you. Yeah, Cyclical is weird. It wasn't like it was just kind of thrown together and it was fun to do.
Yeah. Well, it was thrown together perfectly. And but no, it's nice to also see that like you kind of found your groove and are still cranking it out.
Yeah, I feel a lot more comfortable with this stuff. I feel like it's I'm making what I like wanted to be making when I put Cyclical out.
Hmm.
It's like Cyclical was just to kind of like show people what this is, like what I'm trying to do.
Right.
But I felt like the genres I was hitting wasn't like exactly what I knew there was greater heights or something like that.
Yeah.
New lands to explore. But I need these bands to join me and they need people to agree to do it. So like yeah.
So if anyone's willing or wanting to be on a Merrier track and they're listening right now, are they allowed to send you like a demo, one of their songs, and then like you'll figure it out from there?
So I've never with all the people I've talked to, no one's ever sent me. Oh, geez, my computer just went up. Not my. I'm using my other computer to light me up.
Oh, okay.
I'm using my laptop to record this. So the screen is just like my desktop. But no, so like I've asked a bunch of people, and even bands have like come to me, like, "Hey, let's do something." But no one's ever had an idea. No one's ever brought an idea to me. It's always me bringing the ideas,
Mm-hmm.
and that's fine because I feel like it. I would feel bad like messaging someone and being like, "Hey, let's do a song. Give me all your ideas."
Right.
Like, um,
But I mean, like, could they send you? Should they send you like what like one of their songs? That way you have an idea as to what they're capable
okay,
of, and then you can because obviously you're the mastermind behind everything. So you would basically be like, listen to this track and be like, oh, like this vocal style will work on like this track over here, or like this will work here, type of way.
so yeah, usually if like I would say like 7 out of 10 times I'm the one going to someone. But sometimes when people do go to me, I'll always go to their bio and just
Hmm.
listen. And a lot of times I'm already familiar. Majority there's only been a couple times where it's like I've never actually like if they just followed me and they're messaging me right now, it's like, well, obviously I don't know who you are. Um, but I'll always go listen. Uh, I guess I would say like there are some people that like I've been wanting to work with, but I just don't have like enough ideas. I don't have like this infinite well of like music, and like I'm not gonna just ask you to be on it just to be on it. Like,
Right.
hey, I just have the song. Like, you might fit. Like, if I'm asking you, I usually feel like there's something,
There's a need for it, and there's a
an,
willing there's something that works
something that
for them.
works, or I feel like it's out of your zone, and
Mm.
I'd like to see you get in this zone and see what that's like. Um, there's been varying results with that method. It's not that isn't always like, and sometimes they come to me and they're like, "Yeah, this isn't gonna work." Um, but yeah, so I guess if there is anybody out there, because I've said yes to like I say yes to everybody. I'm not like I'm down to work with anybody, but it's just a
Right.
matter of like having time and like um so like if you're out there and you're listening and I've said yes to you and we haven't like spoken in a while, just DM me again. I probably just forgot. And we probably still talk on Twitter and I just forgot that we agreed to do it. And if you have an idea, I would love that because like I probably only come up with like 15 ideas a year and like five of them will come out. So like, it's tough to like I guess that maybe that's something I should get in the habit more of like sending more demos out and letting more people kind of like help me figure it out.
Mm.
But it's hard. Like a lot of times I want to send people an idea that's pretty like not totally fleshed out, obviously, but an idea that's good and like obviously is like work has been put into it. I'm not just trying to send you like um something shitty.
Like some basement demos or anything like that.
Yeah, and it feels like, like if I'm gonna be asking the best out of you, I'm gonna try to give you a pretty good representation of what the song is and where it's going. Um, but it's always so different. Like the song with Analog Heart on the CP, like that's what you're hearing is the original track of the demo that I thought it was just gonna be a demo. Like I recorded it at like 5 a.m. and I thought that was just gonna be the voice memo, and I'll listen to it again, I'll rework it, and I'll rewrite it. Uh, but then I couldn't remember how to play it, so that's it. Like that was the track because I couldn't. I even asked Hoity Toity to figure it out for me. I gave him $50 to just figure out can you like figure out what I'm playing here? And they did it. And they gave me the notes. They knew it, like they figured it out. Um, but I couldn't play it the way I played it that night. Um, and I just so that was just the track. And
Wow.
so I guess that's like an instance of like where I sent it to Analog Card. I was like, hey, like this is just a demo. Don't worry. It sounds kind of weird. And then he sent me his tracks, and that sounded like they were awesome. So I'm like trying to play along to it, and I was like, I can't. And I messaged him like we went like back and forth for like a couple months, and I was like, hey, I'm still learning. Like I'll send you an update soon. And by the end of it, I was like, hey, I can't figure it out, and I cannot play it. I messed with the tunings,
Mm.
and I think while doing that, the guitar was out of tune itself a little bit. So I've just never been able to quite figure out the notes and like how to strum it. So yeah, that fourth song is like literally that is it. It was just the demo,
Wow.
uh, and then I added like some keys on it, and then he added his vocals on it, and then that was the whole song. So I guess like when you ask me these questions, it's like there's so many different answers because, like,
Right.
you know, I don't know. But I guess my first answer is how I would like to do it. I would like to send you a song that I know how to play and like have like worked on a bit.
Which makes sense. And like, I mean, you have a process, you have it locked down. I mean, keep doing what you're doing as always, and like keep killing it.
Yeah, it's just it's really fun and like I don't worry about too much else other than just like I'll work on it a couple times a week and then that's really fun for me.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, as before we fully transition to like the drink segment and what comes next, is there anything that I missed with this EP um, that you want the people to know about?
I guess I would all the guests did their own production. So like Exciting Excellent, Super Destroyer, everyone did their parts themselves somewhere else, completely separate. And I think that's pretty impressive. Like that all these people like are able to do that, and in varying ways. You know, like the equipment song, like Nick and Jake worked on it, even though it's you know like Nick's the one singing, and uh, and he actually played some bass and did the guitar solo on that. Uh, Caleb, Hey, I Love You, he did the guitar solo at the end of Pokey MMO. I want people to know that. They did all the guitar solos. I played the riffs, but they did the guitar solos. I think that's pretty cool. Other than that, I don't really no, I think you know, we talked about it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say it enough. I've said it multiple times already during this episode. The CP's sick. If everyone that's listening better go check it out, or has to have already checked it out prior to this episode because it's been out for a week at this point, and it's got, if it's not already at 1 billion streams, it's got to be like at least 1 trillion by now.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if it's not 1 trillion, then we'll, you know,
Yeah,
we might have to. We'll see about EP3 then. So pressure's on.
Right. So as we transition, you're fully aware what's about to happen. This
Yes.
is Beers with Bands. You don't have to be drinking alcohol on these episodes because I will definitely do that for you. But my dude, what are you drinking on this fine episode?
So you know what I'm about to say, and I've considered whether or not I should tell the truth.
I was straight up wondering if you were gonna do it or not, and because I wasn't even gonna call you out on it.
So well, I'm almost done with it, and so now I'm gonna do it.
All right.
So this is a strawberry lager, but that's a lie because I bought this a long time ago and it's nasty. And so today, on the phone with my dad, actually, I was like, oh wait, I don't have any beer. What should I do? And instead of going out and buying new beer, I didn't do that. And I opened this bottle and I poured it all out. And I poured some blueberry wine in it. So I've been drinking wine this whole time, and and I'm almost done with this bottle. So yeah, I'm drinking blueberry wine in a strawberry lager beer bottle.
Hell yeah.
Very classic.
Like we were talking about before the episode fully started, it just reminded me when you first told me that. Like it reminded me of the classic Always Sunny episode where they're all drinking boxed wine out of Diet Coke cans, which me and my friends have definitely contemplated. Yeah, like you can use your hands and you don't spill anything. Me and my roommates have definitely contemplated doing that a time or two, and we just haven't done it yet. But one of these days, we're gonna get to that lower degenerate level, and we're just gonna fucking do it.
Well, when you hit the bottom of the barrel, like me, you gotta let me know when you and your friends are pouring wine into beer bottles.
Okay.
You let me know.
Yeah.
It's working though. I don't taste any of the beer, and
hey, that's the point.
And the bottles are kind of the best part of beer to me because I don't usually like the taste. So this is like it's a good thing.
Maybe that's something that we should. Well, I was just about to say this might sound stupid now. I was about to say like maybe that's something that wine should get into is start doing like bottled wine, and then all I could think was no, wine actually comes in a bottle. That's fucking dumb.
Handheld
like, wine. Yeah.
Hey, maybe we can get into business together.
Right.
We'll become financial moguls or whatever the word is, and we'll corner the small bottled wine market.
Yeah, because everyone that's listening, you heard it here first. Like, we're going into it. You can't steal our idea.
Yeah.
This
Oh
episode is
yeah. I
somehow copyrighted.
swear to
Don't even
God,
worry about it.
I will I will get DIY Twitter on you like nobody's business. Like, and they like to do that. So
Yeah. Uh, for everyone listening, they know what's coming next. You know, I'm drinking a good old PBR, the blood
classic.
of the podcast, basically. I forgot to do this at the beginning, but I want to give a quick shout out to the mutual homie Jeremy, aka Devil Make Hair. He did tweet saying to make sure I told you hi from him. There was no grievances tonight that people
Yeah.
wanted to get out. So
I can't believe it.
I don't know if that's a good or bad sign that no one had grievances that they wanted to publicly air.
Yeah, I think the fact that no one wanted to do it publicly, I think that's the thing you gotta really stress.
So, this is our part where we get to let you air your grievances on all the people that didn't air their grievances.
I was about to say something. I'm not gonna say it. But I love Devil Maker. He's awesome, and that's somebody that I'm definitely gonna be working with. I know he's a really good drummer. He's been asking me, so that's a person. Look for that in the future.
Yeah, he used to be a touring drummer. He did Warped Tour and shit like that.
Oh God. Well, there you go. And I don't know how to spell his name because it's kind of weird. But go to my Twitter and tweet at me and ask me, say, hey, send me the Jeremy's music, Devil Maker, and I will give it to you because it's really good.
Yeah, he sent me like the latest track the other day, and I responded to him. I was like, well, thanks for making me feel shit again, which is not fun. Like
he's got a very ethereal sound. It's very pretty.
Yeah, like it's not something. I like how this is turning into a Devil Maker episode.
I'm down for it. I'm cool with that.
The way his sound is one, like, not something you'd expect from him if you would just like meet him and like and just talk to him, but like it's this sound that hooks you in and you just want to keep listening to it. Like you're immediately hooked and just I don't know. I'm very bad at putting shit into words, but it's just everyone needs to go check it out if they haven't already.
I agree. I was playing Valheim to his latest single. Valheim is like a Viking game. It's very outdoorsy, and it fit perfectly. He's a really cool musician.
Yeah, super nice dude. I know since he's been on the podcast, which funny enough, his episode came out like a week either before yours or after yours.
I missed that episode.
Yeah,
I need to go listen. That's what I'm gonna do tonight. I'm gonna be grinding Maple Story tonight, and so I'll listen to his episode.
Hell yeah. But yeah, one of the nicest dudes ever since he's been on, even before he was on, when he reached out, and like so happy to have cross paths.
Yeah, you've had a bunch of my friends like Booze Radley, Super Destroyer. I met Bed Quad actually a couple days ago, so I'm gonna consider them friends now.
You have me beat there because I've yet to meet the Ben Squad.
They're so nice. Like it's always. I mean, they recognize me, but they probably recognize me because like I tweet at them a lot, and like I tweeted at them that day. But like it's always cool. Like someone that you've listened to like a ton. Like they're like, hey, I know you. Like they kind of like are looking at me like, who are you? And it's like, oh yeah, I'm Jake. Like Merrier. And like, oh yeah, like how are you? Like, what's up with you? I know you're doing that thing. Like, you have different guests. Like, it's cool when like they kind of know what's going on. Like,
right? Yeah,
very genuine and like great band.
Yeah, like I've had that a couple times here in like when I go to a show, like someone that's been on the podcast locally. Like, I'll try and like catch one of their shows or as many shows as I can when I decide to not be super introverted. And like I went to one show and it was literally just like 4 bands that were playing that I was friends with everyone in like basically all the bands, or like they had I think 3 of the 4 bands had all been on the podcast too. So I was like, I need to go to this one. It's basically like a little mini homie fest. And I was talking to one dude that was on, and he turns to his friend and he's like, oh, this is Michael. And the guy, every time someone introduces me to someone, the look on their face is always like, why the fuck do I care who this guy is? And then they'll be like, oh, he runs that podcast, Beers of the Bands. And then seeing them be like, oh, I've listened to that. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Why would you listen to me ramble to talk to people? Like, it's always so weird.
It's really cool. I mean, because there's not like a ton of ways to like get to know these bands unless you like interact with them on Twitter or
Right.
like you know them. So it's really cool listening to these podcasts because um like I don't know what anyone's voice sounds like. Like, like I talked to Booze Radley. We're in an NBA group chat on Twitter with a couple other people. And like I know what his singing voice is,
Hmm.
but like your singing voice and like how you talk are like two different things. So it's like crazy hearing like I guess it's not crazy, but it's really cool and like it's nice.
Yeah. No, yeah, I feel like because like there's been a couple people that have been on too that like I've sat down with like metalcore bands and they just scream the entire time when they're like playing. So like obviously I know a couple of them like from outside of their band, but like getting to hear people that I'm not familiar with their actual voice and I'm like, oh, that's not what I
That's not what I was
expected
expecting.
at all. Like
Yeah.
you pulled that off so well.
Super Destroyer, John's voice. His voice is very distinct and like his singing voice, but like when you hear him talk, it's like obviously like that's gonna be his voice, but like
Hmm.
when he talks, it's like I didn't expect you to like that's what you like really sound like because sometimes people like so it's cool. Like I love the podcast. I'm happy to be on twice now.
I'm stoked
Yeah,
that you've been on twice. Like
yeah,
uh SNL does like the five timers jacket. I'll have to come up with something for people that start to be on multiple times.
yeah. I think you got to make it three because
Okay.
I've got to. Has anyone been on three times?
Uh yes, but I don't know if he fully counts. I mean he counts as a person. It's but it's my really good friend Brian Martinez. He sings for a band called Eugene Levy out of Iowa, but he was also originally supposed to be the co-host of this podcast. So that's why I say I don't know if he fully counts as being a recurring guest.
I guess it's your podcast, so you decide if it counts.
Uh I'm gonna say he doesn't count just because I give all creatorship to him and initial idea to him, so he can have that title,
Okay.
and then everyone else can have at least you got to make it to episode three, like a third time on, and then I mean I got a little bit of time before you're.
Okay. Yeah, you got a year.
I think let me think real quick. So you'll be on twice. I don't think anyone else has hit two times yet.
Oh, am I the first one?
I think so.
Yeah, I was actually scrolling through your whole catalog today, and I don't think I saw any repeats.
Yeah.
I don't
Um,
think.
yeah. So I think
Oh, sweet.
I think you hit the two timers club so far. So
Hell yeah.
once you get to three, open challenge to everyone to try and get to three before Jake.
Yeah.
I have some time to come up with an like what the three timers club should get. If anyone's listening and you have an idea, feel free to drop a comment and let us know what the three timers club should get.
Yeah. You should get Booze on again because they
Yeah,
just came out with that album. That was really good.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. That
White
album was
Guy
sick.
Emo. They had Gabby Raylos on the like I think it was the first song. It was pretty
Yep.
cool.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, no, that one was fun. There was a little part. There was at least 30 minutes of stuff that I cut out of that episode just because like we got to a point where like with some of these episodes like it just gets to like a super good vibe and we're just chatting and just drinking and like it just got nonsensical at a certain point and I was like I this episode's like I think it was like 2 hours and 15 minutes and then I was like I just need to trim this down
Yeah.
somehow.
Cut down.
But no, that was a great conversation with those dudes.
I feel like it would be harder. I would never know because I've never done like been in your role. I feel like it would be tough having the multiple people on,
Mm.
like just keeping track. Uh,
Oh yeah, sometimes it can be a little difficult.
yeah.
Sometimes I just have to like sit back and just wait for one of them to like take a breath in between something, and I'll be like, hey, let me jot in here real quick.
Hey, which one of you is talking again?
Well, like the I was recording this past Friday, and there was this great story that one of them was telling, and then like they were all in different look. No, they were all together, so they're all four sitting on a couch, and like one would say something and one would chime in, and I had to pee super bad. And I'm sitting here just like, you can't see it on the camera, but like my legs shaking and everything, and I'm just waiting for one of them to like finish a sentence and not keep going with it, so I can just be like, "Hey, real quick, can I go use the restroom and I'll be right back?" And I felt like it took forever, but really it was probably just like a minute of me trying to get through this, and I was like, "Oh my god,
No,
those are the worst."
sometimes I have conversations like, especially being with musicians, like at venues with musicians will just talk your ear off, like
Oh yeah,
the way I've been doing tonight. And like, it's like, oh my God, I do like, and it's like the show starts in like 10 minutes and like the drummer's like trying to tell me about how he drummed for like Pink Floyd. He opened for Pink Floyd back in '86. And it's like, bro, this show starts soon. Like I gotta go. Like, so bless your heart for dealing with all of us.
yeah. I mean, the same shit happens to me in like person though. Like I'll be at a show and like have like I'll like leave like my group or like where I'm at, and I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna run to the restroom quick. And as like I'm on my way to the bathroom, someone that I know will like stop me and then like start talking to me, and I'm like, no, yeah,
Yep,
cool,
yep,
cool.
yep.
Give me like 2 minutes and I'll like come back and I'll actually pay attention to everything you're saying. I can't focus at all right now.
Yeah. I've started at venues. Like if someone's like bothering me and the show's about to start, I just kind of like go like, I can't do this right now. And like they'll be like, what? It's like I gotta focus on this. And like I'll point to the stage and like, oh yeah, you're working. It's like, yeah,
Right.
I'm working.
uh with the like the production that you like the I don't know, because you bounce around a couple different venues, or are you mainly just at one?
I My main one, I have one that like I'm dedicated to and they're dedicated to me. I'm a contractor. So
Okay.
it's a weird world of that. But they've guaranteed me like 12 to like 20 shows a month. And then
Okay.
like I'll look at their schedule, take what I need, and then I'll fill in the rest.
Hmm.
So like I'll bounce around if I need to, but I don't always.
Yeah. And then with it was like leading to like uh our I've seen at some of the venues that I've been to, like the sound person will have like the iPad and then like they'll walk into the crowd and kind of adjust. Is that something you work with, or do you not like that? Because I've heard mixed emotions on that setup.
So I would never rely on that because I
Mm-hmm.
have before. Back when I was learning how to do this, a company sent me out and they didn't want to send me out with the boards. They sent me out with the Behringer X Air setup when it just came out. Um, like your iPad is the board, and it failed, and it was a nightmare. But the main venue I work for, we're getting into that so we can mix monitors a bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of times, like a touring band will come through and they'll say, "Hey, you need a front of house engineer and a monitor engineer." And the venue tries to get like that's paying a whole extra person.
Right.
So we're implementing the iPad thing to give to them. So it's like, hey, or at least I can go up on stage and kind of do it better. Uh, and the main thing with the iPads, I think it's great for ringing out monitors because you
Mm-hmm.
can go up, you can talk into the mic, you can adjust the mic gain as you need, adjust the EQ, but then you can also EQ the monitor and ring out all those bad frequencies. I can cup the mic, I can do all my tricks myself without relying on some idiot musician who like doesn't know what he like will like you'll ask him like, hey, test your mic, and they'll go test one too. And you're like, hey man, like test the mic. I need to keep talking
Yeah,
so I can do
you
this.
need to keep going with this
Like, do
shit.
you want it in your monitor? Like I can see the drummer wants it in his monitor, but you're not talking. And like uh yeah, pretty soon the one place will have an iPad and I can do a lot of that myself now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd never seen it in Iowa City when I was going to shows before I moved, and then I was at like a show up here in Minneapolis, and I just saw like a person like darting around with like an iPad. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then it took me a little bit to realize, oh, they're like adjusting everything as they're walking around and like checking it from different sections in the venue, and then still like they'll still go back to the board to like make sure everything like translated properly or whatever. But I thought
Yeah.
that like that's so genius to have that,
Yeah.
um to like be able to hit like, oh, what if the sound sucks over in that one spot? I should check that to make sure it's like connecting properly.
So I will during the show at least once or twice we'll get up and I'll walk around.
Mm-hmm.
But depending on the venue, like if the venue doesn't have like side fills or like like speakers in these other areas, you can mix it. I can walk around to like the left side and be like, oh, I can't really hear the guitars on this side, but I hear it from front of house. Well, like, what do you do then?
Right.
If I don't have like, if you don't have more speakers to send that to, well, it's like, okay, I can adjust that for that side, but now this side where I am probably takes a hit too. So it's a really interesting like game and balancing act, and like sometimes sometimes you just can't please everybody, you know.
Yeah, sometimes depending on the venue, you're gonna get stuck in a spot that kind of sounds a little shitty, and that's just how it goes.
And I've been pretty fortunate. I mean, I've been doing sound heavily the past 2 years, and I've really only ran into a couple people that have been like, "Man, that what are you doing? Like, that's no good." Like, generally, it's been like people don't say anything to me, or people like tell me, "Great job, this is awesome." Like, but if you know, today is March 27th, and I just put out a tweet how someone like wrote me a note that they couldn't hear the vocals, and they sent the production manager like all his notes, and me and him were laughing about it. So like, I don't, you know, these things happen and whatever. It's a wild world.
Yeah, you're always gonna get people that are gonna like bitch and complain about something, whether it's something that can like easily be fixed or there was even a problem at all.
Oh, I mean, and that it's so I'm the kind of person, I don't like having the vocals right on top. Like, I hate that. But I know, especially where I'm at, where it's a lot of cover bands, people want to hear the vocals. So like a lot of the times, like people will tell me like especially that guy in particular, like you can't hear the vocals. I'm sitting there like, dude, the vocals are way too loud. Like this is already annoying, and you want them louder. Like, what are you talking about? But that's like the beauty of all of it, is that you can tell me it sucks or you can tell me it's amazing, but like either way, it doesn't really matter. It's all subjective. The next guy over 3 tables over might have thought that was the worst show he's ever seen, and then his wife or his friend might be like, that was the best thing I've ever seen. Like, it's so subjective, and like as long as you're trying and you're involved and like you're actively trying to improve and make it good, I think you can be happy.
Yeah. Well, Jake, kind of nearing the end, but I can't let you go. Obviously, there's a lot of stories that get told on these podcasts, on this podcast in particular. I mean, there's other podcasts that do it too, but we're talking about Beers with Bands. We're on Beers with Bands tonight. I know we talked some stories from the last time you were on. Obviously, you didn't get to play Coachella because I'm sure there would have been crazy stories from Coachella, and you had COVID, like we talked about. But you've been doing the sound all this time, and I know you had some really good like production stories the last time. Has anything new happened since the last time we talked that you want to talk about?
You know, the NEVA conference one is probably the best one because that's like interesting. Since then, not really. It's honestly been like an awesome year of just like doing a ton of like really cool bands, and generally it's always pretty straightforward. They show up, we do it, and it's not a hard time.
Is there any bands that you did sound for that you were stoked that you got to do sound for? Because I think last time we talked, was it Bearings that you did, or who was it the last time that was like on your list?
Oh, I don't remember.
But I remember you maybe I should have listened to that episode.
We talked about that. Neither one of us did, guys. I considered listening to it too to like kind of refresh, and I was like, nah, I'm not gonna do that.
I just remembered you really liked a band. They came through. You product. I don't know if you ran sound, but you did production for that show. So they were like.
Okay, so I guess maybe not the coolest, but a really cool one was my first day at one venue on the east side of Cleveland. The first gig I did there was Equipment opening up for Barty Strange. Okay. And that was really cool because I'm sitting there and they had their own front of house person, so I was really just there to like help them set up, and here's the left, right, and sub, and here's the green room. But I'm sitting there and they're setting up and they're doing their thing, and Barty's looks at me. I don't actually know what his real name is, but he looks at me and goes, "Hey, do you want to see my guitars?" And I'm like, "Yeah, fuck yeah, I want to see your guitars." Like, what are you talking about? And so we spent like 20 minutes of him just showing me stuff and telling me about like, just here's this one. I like this one because of this. I don't even totally remember. It's hard to like. It's when it's your first day. You're kind of like on edge a
You're
little
all
bit.
over the place. Yeah.
Yeah, I was all over the place, but it was like I remember like he offered to me. Like I didn't say anything, so that was really cool. So I'll say meeting parties and getting to talk guitars with him, like
Hell yeah.
unprompted, was really nice and genuine of him.
Yeah. When you meet those people that like are just genuinely nice and like are so inviting with when anything like happens like that was always the cool thing about like the shows I booked weren't like fucking crazy or anything like that. I think the biggest band we ever booked was a Willow Way. I think they're
Oh,
from
cool.
Connecticut, New York. But like just any band that would come through and like just not be assholes was always the best part.
Yeah, I mean, knock on wood, I've been having a great time. Like especially like this month and last month, February. I've done like so many cool shows, like a couple Hawaiian acts. Like one was a band, one was George. I can't pronounce his name, but like a legend. We had all the names. Like I've done so many shows, like the names escape me, but like I've just been having an awesome time working and doing these shows and like learning about stuff. Uh, and like these different musicians push you in different ways, and they want a certain type of reverb, and it's like I have no idea what you're trying to say, but like it really pushes you and gets you to like play around with new things and gets you out of that comfort zone, and like it's just been a lot of fun. So I don't have any horror stories that I can think of, which
That's okay.
is
I
amazing,
think
honestly. So
yeah, I think the last time you were on, I think your horror story was that like um if I remember correctly, you guys were waiting like all day for like some production to show up and some dude almost got crushed
yeah, my
and
buddy, it
shit like
happened to
that.
my buddy Eric with the meme, but
Yeah.
his name's actually Eric. He like the big prop cart, which was like literally the size of my apartment, massive. Because it was like props for like to go across from this side of the stage all the way to the other end. And the prop cart was at the edge of the hill. Why anyone would leave it at the edge of the hill is crazy, but like they left it at the edge and it just barreled towards the stage with all the cameras. My buddy Eric grabbed all the cameras. That was a long day. We were loading in as doors were opening and
Yeah.
sound checking and like, oh man, that was crazy. That was fun.
Fuck. No, but that's awesome that like all these other bands that you're working with doing sound are like taking able to like kind of get you out of your normal just day-to-day like sound comfort zone and like kind of expand because I'm sure that's translating in some way shape or form over to the Merrier when you're like working on stuff and somehow, right?
Yeah, it definitely helps me. What's the word? It helps me kind of like relax. Where like with Cyclical, I was very worried about like I'm not doing these things that good producers do.
Hmm.
Like I'm not side chaining the kick to this and blah blah blah. And the more I do this, and the more I've gotten to like watch like real pro audio engineers that tour and have been doing it for 30 years, like they don't worry about like, oh, I didn't do this and therefore it's not good. It's just they do it if they need to, but like they don't just like preset their settings and now it's good because I did the things that like the YouTubers say I should always do.
Right.
So it's helped me like kind of get a little more comfortable and like really use my ears better and not worry about like if you're not doing this, it can't be a good mix. Like I've gotten away from that and that's helped me a lot.
Oh, yeah. Well, dude, like I've said multiple times, the CP's sick, and we're at like a half a billion or like 500 billion. We're almost to that trillion at this point. Which keep getting pump those numbers up. Those rookie numbers, pump them up.
Worth more than Twitter now.
um, I always got to ask if anyone's looking for merch, music, or you, Merrier in general. Where can they find it?
No merch. Maybe one day. I'm on Twitter, the Merrier 505. I tweet 5,000 times a year because I've had Twitter for 3 years and I have 15,000 tweets, which is crazy. So if you follow me, a lot of tweets. And most importantly, listen to all the guests. And you can, if you need to, if you're lazy, I have a playlist. You can ask me, and it'll give you all the guests of all time. And yeah, Yeah.
Yeah. Well, make sure you go follow the Merrier on everything. Um, you know, we've already kind of mentioned Jake's got some things in the wheelhouse for the next EP. We'll see comes of that. Possible splits coming. But yeah, make sure you hit that playlist for sure. Check out everyone that's on ever been on a Merrier track.
It's getting
Uh,
extensive now.
really?
Yeah, it's getting large. It's like, geez, almost I think over 10 now. So that's pretty cool.
Damn. Well, speaking of playlists, I'm gonna have to update your track
Oh
on
yeah.
the Beers with Bands, Friends of Beers with Bands playlist since we got some new stuff coming out. Um, or maybe I'll just add a second uh, Merrier track. Just put it in everyone's faces that like he's on there twice. You should have been on here multiple times.
Yeah, that's incentive is what that
Yeah,
is.
yeah, that's what I'll do. Um, but you know, as always, dude, like this, great time, great chatting. It's always nice. Obviously we commingle on Twitter. You were kind enough
Yeah.
to send me the EP back in January, and just getting to sit down and chat, catch up, feels great.
Yeah, I was before we started, I was talking about how like I was gonna say I miss you, but like in a lot of ways I don't. I get a healthy fix of you. So it's like, you know, if we live closer, I would be great to hang out, but like
Oh
you're
fuck
doing
yeah,
great, and these kind of things are like what the scene is all about. It's fun, and it's like it's just good to get to know people. It's good to find other people. And it's chill. So it's really like why I got in this scene, to just have fun and make
yeah,
some friends and like not worry about all the other like bullshit that comes with music. And
yeah.
so, yeah, you're
No,
doing great.
I appreciate those words. The podcast was one of the big reasons and one of the big things that helped me kind of get back in the scene
Yeah.
after kind of being out for so long. So this was like my putting a toe back in the pond. Some would say like my dip back in, and I think at the time that this comes out, I'll be 4 yeah, 2019, 4 years and like a few almost no, it'll be 4 years in September. So like 3.5 years doing this. It's been great. I've met so many lovely people, and there's no stopping so far. So stick along for the ride and see where we go.
Hell yeah. I feel like you always bring out the best of me because like I don't get nervous. Like I get nervous sometimes doing these because like I don't play shows too much since like these are like a good way to kind of like get out. But I
Yeah,
don't get nervous for this. Like I wasn't nervous last time. I wasn't nervous this time. It's like, oh yeah, this is gonna be sick. Like I feel like I can just be myself, so it's cool.
yeah, dude. I mean, you did even last time. I don't think you even seem nervous. Like you don't seem it. Like obviously, like you're saying you're not, but like
You're just
if
chill and like I can I don't even think about it too much. I don't think about like when like the other ones I've done. I think about what I'm gonna say. Sometimes I'll write stuff down, but like I don't know, this one I'm just drinking wine and talking.
that should be the tagline, just drinking wine and talking. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Um, well, I mean, like I've said, everyone go follow the Merrier, stay up to date with what's coming next, and stay tuned for next week and the week after and the week after and the week after for new episodes. And no slowing down yet. And I'll catch everyone on the next episode. See ya.